It's Joel Kinnaman, everybody. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Tony. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, and congratulations on season two that we're just starting
Thank you.
for All Mankind. How is your character changing in season two?
Well, so over the course of the first season, Ed Baldwin was going through some heavy stuff, and he was deserted on the moon, while his family was suffering the ultimate tragedy, and at the end of the first season, he came home to deal with that. We now, come back for the second seasons 10 years later, and so as an actor, you're always the trauma that a character goes through, the tragedy, that's sort of, that's the challenge. So of course I'm going to be hungry to play that, but here, it's 10 years later, so wounds aren't on the surface in the same way. So the writers did a phenomenal job by really putting him in a different place, the opposite place of where you first would kind of imagine him to be, considering where you last saw him. Um, but yeah, but those wounds are always gonna be there. Of course, you don't move on from something like that. It's always gonna be there. So that was really interesting. But then over the course of the season, Ed and all the characters in For All Mankind, they become pivotal players in the Cold War that has really moved to space, and the Cold War is now boiling hot, and all the actions that these characters are taking, could lead to potentially a world war breaking out. It's everything is on edge. The tensions are really high, and all the actions have the highest sense of urgency to them. So it's an intense journey over these next 10 episodes.
You as an actor seem to be drawn to really, really high-end writing, and kind of in that science fiction arena as well. Altered Carbon is just, was an amazingly written show, and so is For All Mankind. Do you work with the writers at all in developing your character even more?
Um, to be honest, in For All Mankind, uh, I've given them a little, I've asked for, let's focus on this a little bit more. There, a few scenes that they shaped differently, and or maybe added a scene here and there. But to be honest, I usually come in and have an opinion when I feel like it's not really going in the right direction. But here I'm always here. I completely just take a step back in this, because from day one I was just sort of blown away by the sophistication of the writing on this show, and and they will go paths which is not the where I would have suspected it. In the second season, for example, it was almost provoking how they were. I was almost provoked by the way that they were writing Ed, because he had this lightness to him. It was almost like he found, he found an inner peace, almost, and that's after we saw him suffer through this ultimate tragedy in the end of the first season. But then the way that they show how these wounds are still there, it's really sophisticated and well done, and it's not the obvious, and I feel like it's sort of been that way throughout this whole process. So here I completely just take a lean back, and just kind of enjoy the scripts coming in.
It's all about trust, and I really do want to thank you for doing this series. It is an amazing series, Joel, and thank you for
Awesome.
your time today.
No, thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Tony.